Hi everyone, this is Sam and Kath. We're back with our Hiker Brain series. This will be Hiker Brain number 5. And today we're going to be talking about your foot care system on the John Muir Trail. Just a few facts. There are 2,000 steps to a mile, and Kath and I are planning on averaging 8 miles a day and hiking this year, which means that every day each one of us will take 16,000 steps. And there are 211 miles on the JMT, so from start to finish, that's 422,000 steps we'll be taking. And if you think about it, when you're out on the JMT, you're going to be on your feet between 12 and 15 hours every day, whether you're hiking or not. So just these facts alone should make your JMT foot care system the #1 priority, I think, over all other considerations as you plan and train for your JMT hike. You and your feet are going to be confronted with 3 basic environments when you're out there on the trail. The first one is the obvious one, which means that every day you're going to be out there pounding the trail, and you're going to be going up and down these mountain passes. You're going to be on different kind of rocks. There's all kinds of different things that you're going to have to face just walking on the trail itself. So that's the first environment, is just the trail itself kind of environment. The second thing that you'll be doing on a regular basis will be water crossings. And so you're going to have some thoughts about how you want to approach water crossings, how much protection you want to get for your feet, and how much protection you want to give to your feet. So that's the second one. And then the third environment that you'll be in, obviously at the end of a hard day's worth of hiking, you're going to want to stop, take off your boots, put your feet in that nice cold mountain water, whether there's a stream nearby or a lake. Let those feet get some of the ache out of them. But what kind of footwear then are you going to wear around camp? Most people that we observed on the trail don't wear their hiking gear just to wander around camp in. They bring something like Crocs or sandals or flip-flops or whatever the case may be. So you need to be thinking about that. You should consider how to plan to address each one of these environments, I think, and what you can do individually to make your feet comfortable, protect your feet, and then provide them with the ankle support that you will probably need for sure when you're out on the trail hiking every day. So let me just say this before Kath and I begin to talk about our 2 different foot systems, because we don't do everything exactly alike. And I'm just going to say right up front here that what works for Kath and I is probably not going to work for you, so it's up to you to do your own research and your own trail testing of everything that you plan on using on the trail in regards to your feet, to make sure that it's something that actually works for you. And so we're hoping that by kind of going through the process that we went through for the different issues that we were faced with, that it'll help you think about what it is you want to do in regards to your feet, which again, as I said before, I think is the #1 priority, because it's something that you're going to be doing every single day that you're out there. And you do want to be comfortable, and you do want your feet protected while you're out hiking on the trail. So we're going to, first of all, before we start talking about the gear we've got laid out here today, I want Kath just to talk about a little bit about the individual issues that she's had with her feet and how she went about addressing those issues. And I've written a couple of them down here. She can vocalize it, but I've put down her Mortons Neuroma, arch supports, doing massage, ice therapy, and stretching. So Kath, you want to talk a little bit about that?
I have Mortons Neuroma, which is, it manifests itself by giving you pain and numbness, sort of, tingling. Sometimes it can be a real severe, sort of like you're stepping on ice picks. And that happens right sort of underneath your toes and right at the very top of your foot. So I have some inserts that were made for me by a podiatrist. I also have extremely high arches. So these have been a lifesaver. I wear them in all of my shoes. So unfortunately, I don't have the luxury of wearing cute little flat sandals anymore, because when I do, within an hour my feet are hurting. So you know, I'm wearing just tennis shoes or running shoes for the most part. So anyway, these were a lifesaver. What I have done is, in order to control that Mortons Neuroma, is not only do I wear these all the time, but I massage my foot in that particular area, and I also ice it. And I do that every day because I walk every day or I work out at the gym every day. So I do that every day after my workouts. I also do some stretching, and that helps tremendously, just to keep the muscle here that, you know, connects to all of these muscles and nerves. It just keeps it loose and gives me the ability to be able to walk without it hurting. When we were on the trail last year, I massaged every day, but also took my boots off when we ate lunch, and when I could, I stuck my feet in the stream or in the lake, and that cold water really, really helped. I had no issues on the trail last year at all because of this and the massage in the eyes.
Okay, thank you, Annie. Now, I'll talk about my issues that I've had. I had some of the Mortons Neuroma as well, as Kath did, and I did the same thing that she did. We both have the same podiatrist now. I highly recommend that you go to a professional podiatrist if you are in the need of having arch supports made, because they can tailor make them for your foot or your feet. And I've got arch supports in my boots as well. My Mortons has pretty much dissipated since I've started using the inserts, since I started using the arch supports. But I'm like Kath, I still do the stretching, and especially when we're out on the trail last year, when you get to a camp spot or you're having lunch someplace and you're going to take a few minutes, take your boots off, stick your feet in that water. It really helps to reduce the swelling that goes on. It helps cool off your feet, reduce the swelling that you may have. So it's really a great therapy. It's one of the things that will be available to you on the trail, because you probably won't have a lot of ice up there unless you're hiking in the wintertime. But great way to relieve the foot issues there. The other issue that I have, and I'm going to show you some pictures here in the course of the video, is my toes tend to curl under both of my feet to where the toes kind of tuck in underneath each other. And so you'll see by some of the gear choices that I made why I made the choices that I made in regards to socks and that kind of stuff, because I did those when they curl under each other like that. There's a tendency for that skin to rub up against each other, and I would get either cut from the toenail that was underneath the other toe, or you can rub some pretty good blisters in there in between your toes if you don't do something to try to minimize that stress, that rubbing that goes on inside of your boots. So now we're going to talk about gear.
You
I'm
have
sorry.
a heel issue too.
Oh, I did. I'm sorry. Kath is correct. I didn't mention I had what they call plantar fasciitis. So I not only had the Mortons Neuroma, but I had the fasciitis, which comes down through your Achilles tendon there into this part of your foot right here. And that was really bad, which is one of the reasons I ended up going to the podiatrist in the first place. And I can swear by my arch supports now, because essentially I've had no further issues with that since I put the arch supports in, and I'm doing the stretching exercise that he recommended I do. I do that religiously every day, whether I'm hiking or not. If I work out or if I play golf, whatever activity that I'm involved in, I'm always doing my guy stretching, and our cat has got to get into our videos because he's that kind of a guy. He likes to be a part of whatever's going on. Okay, so with that said, you'll see everybody's going to be a little bit different. I don't know what your specific foot issues might be. If you have any, maybe you don't, maybe you're young. But as you get older, you may have some of the same issues that Kath and I did, and so we're just trying to give you some tools to be able to address some of those things and get more information about it. So we're going to talk now about the gear that each one of us put together, kind of our own little foot care system that each one of us has, which is just as important as your tent, your pack, and your sleeping system. Your foot care system to me is number one. So I'm going to let Kath, we're going to talk about each one of the different environments that you will be in out on the trail, and each one of us can talk a little bit about how we addressed that specific environment and what we wear as far as foot gear goes and how we protect our feet in each specific environment. So we're going to start first with the on the trail environment, and I'm going to let Kath tell you what she uses, why she uses it, and whether or not it's working good or not. Kath?
Okay, so we talked before about our boots. I like the Loa boots. I wore them last year and I got a new pair for this year. Again, they just give me a lot of support. I do have a weak ankle, and so I need that extra support in that. I also wear gaiters. Now, the problem with the Loa boots is that there's really no place to hook your gaiter because the back of the gaiter has Velcro on it. And so they want you to put a Velcro strip on whatever shoe you're wearing or boot on the back. Well, the Velcro would not stick to the back of the boot. But the boots have, and I'm going to show you Sam's because he doesn't have any on there, a little loop there. So all I did was I took a Velcro strap and I just cut it and rolled it and put two pieces back there, and that allows me to then put the Velcro onto that, and it holds really nicely when you have an ankle in there. And you do the front on your shoelace. There's a little hook there that hooks onto your shoelace, and it worked great. I had no issues with that whatsoever.
What do they do for you?
This keeps the dirt and the grime out of your getting into your boot. I don't wear pants, long pants like Sam does, so I usually wear crop pants or shorts or something like that to hike in, and so that just keeps all the dirt and crud from getting in there. Then socks. I use liners, and yeah, let me borrow yours for a second. These are the Darn Tough socks. I use these, as does Sam, and then I use liners, and these liners are Fox River liners. They're silk, have some silk in them, and they're wonderful to keep down the friction and the rubbing inside of your boot. So these go underneath the Darn Tough socks. The funny thing about these is that I've actually gotten some runs in them. So they're like silk stockings, but the runs only appear to be happening in the body of the sock and not underneath on the bottom or in the toe box or the heel. So that's where you need, that protection. So I'm gonna wear them even with runs, but nobody will see that, so I don't have to worry about that. Then last year I had a couple of little tiny places early on in the hike, probably the second or third day, that I had a little bit of issues. So we had taken some adhesive tape, and it's the stretchy kind. There's lots of different brands of it. Here's Equate that I think I got at Walmart. Here's some that it was golfer's tape, whatever. And all I did was just wrap around my toe where that area was, and just a little bit of this tape, and it's nice because you can tear it really easily and put it wherever you need it. And that worked totally fine. I had no issues of any additional blisters coming up. Every time I found a little hot spot, I would wrap it, and that took care of it. And this tape stayed on during water crossings and all the sweat and everything else. That's the other nice thing about liners. These liners wick away the sweat. So when you take these off, they're wet, but your feet are not. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, well, my foot here on the trail is just like Kath. I use the Darn Tough socks. I also use sock liners. If you noticed, Kath's sock liners do not have toes, but my sock liners they have toes in them. And I told you earlier that my toes tend to curl up underneath each other, so this system for me is it's a lifesaver, because I can put each individual toe into its own little slot in these sock liners and then put the Darn Toughs over the top of them there. And it really cuts down on the friction and the rubbing of the toes there, especially those ones that are underneath there, where you won't end up getting cuts underneath one toe from the toenail of the toe next to it, and it keeps the blisters down. I had no blister issues at all last year. The only issue that I had, and I forgot to mention this earlier, was my right foot second toe, the toe that's right next to your big toe, is about 1/4 of an inch longer than my big toe is. And so I bought a pair of Lola boots last year that were size 14s, and the only issue that I had with my feet last year was that right side second toe, especially going down some of those passes that we went down, was banging up against the front of my boot, which is one of the reasons you need to get out and test drive your whatever footwear you have to make sure that you've got enough space in there when you start, if you do like we do, where you're going to put on more than just one pair of socks, or a heavier pair of socks than what you normally wear with your athletic gear. So that's the only issue that I had, was I ended up losing that second toenail after we got back from the hike. It didn't fall off until we were done. But make sure you get the right size boots for what you're going to be doing. Make sure they're long enough, that they're wide enough. If you're adding layers inside of those boots, you might need a half size larger boot, depending on than what you normally wear if you're just wearing athletic shoes around. So just be aware of that and plan accordingly. Make sure you do your own research and your own trail testing before you get out on the trail. The last thing you want to do out there when you're on a 211-mile hike is to end up getting blisters right off the bat because your shoes don't fit properly, whether you're in boots, trail runners, or whatever you happen to be in. And just be miserable having to take care of blisters for an entire hike. That would not be any fun at all. So I hope this will help you. Okay, so that takes care of our trail walking. And the next item we're going to talk about then is water crossings.
When we did water crossings, we took off our boots, and I have just a pair of really lightweight Keen, or I think they're Keen.
They're Keens, yeah. Those are Keens.
Yes. Sandals, and these weigh, the pair of them weigh 13.1 ounces, and they were great for crossing the water. I wanted something that I knew would protect the bottom of my feet, especially when you're crossing those streams, because a lot of them are very rocky on the bottom. Who knows how sharp some of those rocks can be, but they're also slick. And I did really well with these. I had no issues at all. They dry really quickly because they drain. They're easy to hang on the outside of your pack, so I just used actually the Velcro strap to hook onto one of the straps on my pack, and I was able to just carry them really easily. They're handy that way, and it just worked fine.
Yeah, the other thing I would say about these Keens is, and I've got a pair too, is you notice there's some toe coverage there that helps protect your foot when you're in the water, and if you end up sliding on a rock and you bang that front end of that toe up against there. If you're doing it barefoot, you can probably end up either scraping or even worse, breaking the toe. And just a little more protection is what you want. These are lightweight, but you also get the protection there too. So same thing for me. These are my Keens, and last year I had a pair of Keens. Here's my lightweight Keens, but last year I wanted to show you these are still great shoes. I wear these around the house all the time. But these babies right here, this pair weigh 2 pounds 7 ounces. That's pretty heavy for a pair of sandals. But you can see the reason that I bought these is that you got that toe foot protection in there. And I love these things, but I could get the lightweight model, which are a pound less, at 1 pound and 8 ounces, or these lightweight version of it. And you still get all the benefits of the bigger model. It's just that they're lighter weight. Again, notice the toe protection, and this is really important when you're out on the trail. Protect your feet at every chance that you get. And our reasoning behind taking our boots off and putting these on to do water crossings when you have to do a significant water crossing is you don't want to be hiking around with wet feet during the day, because that just adds to the issues that you may have if you get wet socks in there, and it causes more friction later on. It's not a healthy environment for your feet to be in when you're essentially walking around with wet feet all day long. So we try to keep the inside of our boots as dry and as clean as we possibly can, and that's the reason that we end up taking the boots off when we do a water crossing, so that they're nice and dry when we get the other side. Yes, it takes 5 or 10 minutes longer to do a water crossing when you do that, but to protect your feet, it's well worth it for us, because it's just more enjoyable to be out there hiking with dry feet and not have water inside of your shoes, whatever kind of shoes that you use. Okay, so that takes care of the water crossings. We also use these shoes if you do any lake wading, which we did a couple times. We never got in more than about knee high, did we?
No.
But if you're one of those people that likes to go out and get a dunk in at the end of the day, kind of cool off by diving into the lake, I would, again, highly recommend that you get some water shoes like this that you can wear to go in the water at any point in case you inadvertently step on a rock or something that might cause your feet some damage.
There.
So we're going to finish up the video that we started yesterday, because I had some editing issues in my studio in there for doing the hiker brain video. So my hiker brain wasn't operating very good, I guess, yesterday.
And so here comes Oreo, because he's going to help.
Yeah, Oreo's back. He knows something's going on. He wants to be a part of what we're doing.
What you doing?
Jump up here, buddy.
Okay.
Get your
right,
2 cents worth in there. Okay.
Now.
Yeah,
okay.
you're good. All right. So we're gonna finish up the video by talking about the third environment, which is essentially your camp shoes issue. If you decide that you want to go the camp shoes thing, and I'm gonna let Kath talk about what she wears when she's in camp, and just explain how it is that she settled on these shoes. You'll notice that both pairs of shoes that we've got here are the same ones that we use for our water crossing. So Kath, why don't you go ahead and talk about
so these are great because even though you've used them for water crossings, they're so light and the material is so light that after they've hung on your pack for 5 minutes, they're really dry. So they're great for around the camp. Again, they've got protection for your toes. Sometimes I'll wear my socks with them, depending on how cold it is. And sometimes I just, wear no socks, and that way my feet get a chance to air out a little bit and have some free air. But they're very comfortable, and they serve 2 purposes, so can't go wrong with that.
That's it. So we're saving weight, I do the same thing that Kath does. I've got my lightweight Keens here. She says she wears her socks sometimes. I just about all the time. I don't know whether I remember not wearing socks when we were in camp last year. Maybe I did. But I just bring along a pair of these short athletic socks that come up to your ankle there. And that's what I wear around camp in conjunction with these. They are lightweight. It's something at the end of the day when you've had those boots on all day long. It's just nice to be able to get them off your feet, have something that's lightweight that are comfortable, so you can hike around the camp. You can go down, filter water. The other thing, again, that I like about the Keens is if you have to go out at night to go to the restroom, most of the camping spots that we camped at, we could find a fairly level spot to put our tent up in. But the surrounding terrain where you may have to wander in search of digging your cat hole, if you need to do that, is going to be fairly uneven, a lot of rocks, lots of debris in many areas. So you do want to have something that if you're stumbling around in the dark, even with a headlamp on, that you're not banging your toes or your feet, damaging your feet when you're going out to go to the restroom. So that pretty much covers then all the three environments that you're going to find yourself and your feet in when you're out on the trail. There is one more thing that I'd like for Kath to talk about for just a minute, because she did mention that she had a couple of small blisters last year, and that is what we take along to address the blister issue other than just the tape, right, honey, in our first aid?
Well, the only thing I had was I had a needle to drain the blisters, pop them, drain them if need be, and I had some little alcohol wipes to use to clean the needle and to clean the area before you would drain it. But really, that's all we had.
Right. It's just the basic stuff. You may want to take some other stuff, but if it's it's up to you to determine what you want to do. So I hope this has been helpful to you if you're making decisions about what kind of footwear you're going to take on the trail. I hope it's maybe illuminated some things maybe you haven't thought about. But that pretty much covers our foot care system for the JMT, and this is pretty much it, isn't it, honey?
That's it.
So we're done with Hiker Brain 5. We'll talk to you later. Okay, Garmin, stop recording.